Nicola Sturgeon has told Scottish residents to only cross the border into England for essential purposes. The Scottish First Minister yesterday told Scots to reconsider travelling into England, tweeting, "We urge everyone to comply with current restrictions, including on travel. People should not travel to or from Level 3 areas in Scotland, and for now, we are asking people not to travel to or from England at all, except for essential purposes." As Boris Johnson implements a second lockdown for England, Ms. Sturgeon has announced Scotland will not implement similar restrictions. Ms. Sturgeon said Scotland would continue with its regional tiered strategy. A 5-tiered system of restrictions is to come into force in Scotland on Monday. Ms. Sturgeon tweeted, "Prevalence of the virus is currently lower than in other parts of the UK, and there are early signs that the tough restrictions in place since we moved quickly in late September have started to slow the rate of the increase." In England, the second lockdown is expected to last until December 2 and all non-essential businesses must remain shut, although schools will stay open. Edinburgh University's Professor Linda Bald has been monitoring the coronavirus reproduction rates in Scotland. Speaking to the BBC's Good Morning Scotland, Professor Bald said, "You can see from the figures in Scotland that the case numbers are levelling off. We are making progress. The question I would ask is the progress quick enough?" Professor Bald spoke about the significance in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland of earlier strict restrictions being brought in by devolved governments. Professor Bald added, "I think the big debate is why is England dragging its feet? That is essentially the issue." The Edinburgh University professor added, "Along with the other devolved nations, you can see from the latest ONS data that Scotland is really in quite a different position from many parts of England, so I would not assume that we are going to go the same way as England. We need to continue to expect these infection rates to go up, and I think that the government strategy in Scotland is to keep an eye on the situation over the next week or two. My feeling would be unless we see improvements, particularly in some parts of the Central Belt, we realistically, could be looking at Level 4, which we want to avoid but would be necessary, essentially just to avoid these preventable deaths escalating even further."